Have you ever wondered if you could survive a zombie outbreak in a shopping mall? It sounds like the perfect fortress. Endless supplies, multiple escape routes, and thick walls to keep the undead at bay. But here's the thing, you're not dealing with a cozy bunker, you're dealing with a glass house filled with everything zombies love most: noise, light, and the sweet scent of fresh human panic. There's no rescue coming, no backup, you're on your own in what might just be the world's most expensive coffin. Let's get our ground rules straight before we dive into this nightmare. We're talking classic George Romero walkers here. Slow, stupid, but relentless as hell. You're already inside when the shit hits the fan, maybe grabbing some groceries or browsing the clearance rack when the emergency broadcast starts screaming. You've got whatever's in your pockets, maybe a shopping cart if you're lucky, and you're dealing with a small group of 4 to 6 survivors who were unlucky enough to be shopping at the same time. No plot armor, no secret military training. You're just regular people trying not to become zombie chow. Every mall is different, and I can't account for every situation. Some have better security, others are basically glass boxes waiting to shatter. But let's break down what gives you a fighting chance, and more importantly, what's probably going to get you killed. Let's break down what gives you a fighting chance. Here's where malls absolutely shine. They're basically survival supply warehouses disguised as consumer temples. We're talking months of food if you ration properly. The grocery stores alone have enough canned goods to feed a small army, and that's before you even consider the restaurants, candy shops, and those overpriced airport-style convenience stores scattered throughout. But it's not just food. You've got a full pharmacy for medical supplies, sporting goods stores loaded with camping gear, knives, and basic survival equipment. Hardware stores provide tools for fortification. Clothing stores keep you warm and dry. Hell, you've even got electronic stores for communication equipment and batteries. It's like someone designed the perfect zombie apocalypse starter kit and called it retail therapy. The real genius is in the variety. Running low on protein? Hit the pet store for dog food. It's nutritionally complete and designed for long-term storage. Need water purification? The camping section has you covered. Want to stay entertained while the world ends? There's a bookstore, game shop, and enough DVDs to last until the power grid fails. Most modern malls are built like concrete bunkers with pretty facades. Those thick exterior walls aren't just for show. They're designed to handle massive structural loads and weather events. The main shopping areas typically have limited ground-level windows, which means fewer entry points for our shambling friends. The multi-level design works in your favor, too. Zombies aren't exactly known for their stair-climbing abilities, so upper floors become natural safe zones. Escalators can be shut down or blocked, and regular staircases are easy choke points to defend. You're essentially creating a vertical fortress where you control the high ground. Loading docks and service corridors give you hidden movement options that zombies won't figure out. These areas are designed for efficiency, not aesthetics, which means they're usually more secure and less accessible to the general public. You can move supplies, scout, or escape without exposing yourself to the main shopping areas. Unlike most buildings, malls are designed with redundant exit strategies. Fire codes require multiple emergency exits, and the complex layout means you're never truly trapped in one location. Every major store has its own exits. Service corridors connect different sections, and maintenance areas provide alternative routes. The parking garage connections are particularly valuable. Most malls have direct access to covered parking, which means you can potentially reach vehicles without exposing yourself to outdoor zombie hordes. Even if the main entrances are compromised, you've got options. Roof access through maintenance areas gives you the ultimate escape route. Most mall roofs are flat and designed for HVAC maintenance, which means they're accessible and potentially defensible. In a worst-case scenario, you could signal for rescue or move between connected buildings. The infrastructure in a modern mall is designed to support thousands of people daily, which means it can handle your small group indefinitely. The electrical systems are robust, with backup generators for emergency lighting. Water systems are industrial grade with multiple access points. HVAC systems can be controlled to manage air quality and temperature. The communication infrastructure is already in place. Most malls have PA systems, security cameras, and Wi-Fi networks that could be repurposed for coordination and surveillance. The security office becomes your command center, complete with monitors showing every major area. Waste management systems are designed for high volume, and the loading dock areas have dumpsters and disposal systems that can handle your group's waste without creating sanitation problems that might attract more zombies. Here's something most people don't consider. Malls are psychologically comforting spaces. They're designed to make people feel safe and relaxed, which matters more than you'd think when you're dealing with the stress of a zombie apocalypse. The familiar environment reduces panic and helps people think more clearly. The abundance of creature comforts helps maintain morale. You're not roughing it in the wilderness. You've got comfortable furniture from the home goods stores, entertainment options, and even luxury items that can boost psychological well-being. When Sarah's having a breakdown because she watched her neighbor get eaten, being able to offer her a hot coffee and a comfortable chair might be the difference between keeping the group together and watching it fall apart. The retail environment also provides a sense of normalcy and routine. You can shop for supplies, organize inventory, and maintain some semblance of civilized behavior. This psychological anchor becomes crucial for long-term survival when the outside world has gone completely insane. The open design that makes malls vulnerable also creates excellent sightlines for defense. You can see threats coming from multiple directions, and the wide corridors prevent zombies from bunching up and overwhelming your defenses through sheer numbers. Choke points are everywhere if you know how to use them. Store entrances, escalator landings, and corridor intersections can be fortified to create killing fields. The abundance of materials means you can build barricades, spike traps, and other defensive measures using shopping carts, furniture, and construction materials from the hardware stores. The height advantage of upper floors turns every balcony into a defensive position. You can rain down attacks on zombies below while staying safely out of reach. The open atrium design means you can coordinate between levels and provide covering fire for ground operations. Now let's get real about what can actually kill you. Here's the brutal truth that zombie movies conveniently ignore. Malls are essentially giant glass boxes designed to let in maximum light and provide maximum visibility. Those beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows that make the shopping experience so pleasant, they're basically dinner bells for every zombie within a 5-mile radius. The moment you turn on lights at night, you've created a beacon that screams, "Fresh meat here." The glass storefronts that looked so elegant during normal times become viewing windows for the undead buffet inside. Even worse, most mall glass is tempered for safety, not security. It's designed to break into small pieces to prevent injury, which means it offers zero protection against determined zombies or panicked humans trying to break in. Skylights are even worse. They're often the weakest structural points, and if they fail, you've got zombies literally raining down on your head. The beautiful open atrium design that makes malls feel spacious becomes a death trap when zombies start falling from above. Malls are acoustic nightmares designed to contain and amplify sound. Every footstep echoes, every conversation carries, and every dropkick sounds like a gunshot. The hard surfaces and open spaces that make malls feel grand also make stealth the impossible. Try to barricade a store entrance. The sound of dragging furniture and hammering will carry throughout the entire complex. Need to break into the pharmacy for medical supplies? The sound of breaking glass will announce your location to every zombie in the area. Even normal activities like cooking or talking become dangerous when the sound carries through ventilation systems and echoes off hard surfaces. The PA system that seemed like such an advantage becomes a liability when zombies learn to associate the speakers with human presence. The same acoustic design that lets mall security communicate effectively also lets zombies track your movements through sound alone. Those loading docks that provide such convenient access, they're also the weakest points in the entire structure. The roll-up doors are designed for efficiency, not security, and most can be forced open with enough pressure. Even worse, they're usually located in isolated areas where zombies can work on them undisturbed. The service corridors that offer such great mobility also connect every store to every other store. Once zombies breach one location, they have access to the entire complex through the same routes you're using for safety. The interconnected design that makes malls convenient for shoppers makes them impossible to compartmentalize during a crisis. Ventilation systems become highways for zombie infiltration. The large ducts designed to move air efficiently can also move small zombies or zombie parts. Even if they can't fit through, the sound and smell of humans gets distributed throughout the entire complex, drawing zombies to every air intake and outlet. Here's the catch that kills most mall survivors. All those supplies are useless if you can't access them safely. The pharmacy is locked behind security gates. The sporting goods store keeps the good stuff in locked cases. The hardware store has the tools you need, but they're scattered across a massive floor plan that's impossible to secure. Every supply run becomes a life or death mission. Need antibiotics? You've got to cross the main concourse, break into the pharmacy, find what you need, and get back, all while zombies are drawn by the noise and activity. Running low on food, the grocery store is 3 levels down and on the opposite end of the mall from your secure position. The abundance that looked so promising becomes a cruel joke when you realize you can see everything you need, but can't safely reach most of it. You'll starve surrounded by food, die of infection with a pharmacy in sight, and freeze to death with a clothing store full of winter gear just out of reach. The same resources that attracted you will attract other survivors, and not all of them will be friendly. Malls become magnets for desperate people, and desperation makes people dangerous. That group of survivors who showed up last week might seem helpful now, but what happens when food starts running low? The open design that provides such good sight lines also makes it impossible to hide your resources or activities. Every other group can see exactly what you have and where you're keeping it. The psychological comfort of the mall environment can create a false sense of security that makes people careless about operational security. Territorial disputes become inevitable when multiple groups try to claim the same resources. The sporting goods store, pharmacy, and food court become contested zones where human conflict is more dangerous than zombie attacks. You'll find yourself fighting other survivors for supplies while zombies gather outside, drawn by the noise of human conflict. The infrastructure that seems so robust is actually completely dependent on external support systems. When the power grid fails, those backup generators will run for maybe 72 hours before the fuel runs out. The water systems depend on municipal pressure and treatment. When that fails, you're looking at contaminated water or no water at all. Waste management becomes a crisis within weeks. The systems designed for daily pickup and removal can't handle long-term occupation. Sanitation failures create disease risks that can kill you just as dead as zombie bites. The beautiful, climate-controlled environment becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and disease when the HVAC systems fail. Food spoilage accelerates without proper refrigeration. All that fresh produce and dairy becomes a rotting mess that attracts flies, rats, and other disease vectors. The abundance of food becomes a health hazard when you can't properly preserve or dispose of it. The same psychological comfort that helps initially becomes a prison that drives people insane. The artificial environment, with no natural light cycles, no fresh air, and no connection to the outside world, creates a form of sensory deprivation that breaks down mental health over time. The constant stress of zombie threats combined with the claustrophobic environment of being trapped indoors creates a pressure cooker effect. People start making increasingly irrational decisions, taking unnecessary risks, or becoming paralyzed by fear. The group dynamics that seemed manageable with unlimited supplies become toxic when resources get tight and stress levels peak. The retail environment that felt normal becomes a constant reminder of the world that's been lost. Every store display, every advertisement, every piece of consumer culture becomes a psychological trigger that reinforces the hopelessness of the situation. Here's the brutal math. Malls give you an excellent chance of surviving the initial chaos in the first few weeks of a zombie outbreak. The resources, defensive positions, and infrastructure provide real advantages that can keep a small group alive while the worst of the initial panic burns itself out. The advantages are substantial and immediately apparent. You'll find a massive supply cache covering all basic needs, from food courts and grocery stores to clothing retailers and pharmacies. The mall's design provides multiple escape routes and defensive positions, allowing you to control movement and create fallback points. The established infrastructure for power, water, and communication systems gives you capabilities that most other locations simply can't match. There's also the psychological comfort of a familiar environment that can help maintain group morale during those critical early days. Perhaps most importantly, malls function as natural fortifications with controllable access points that can be secured and monitored. However, these same features that make malls attractive also create serious vulnerabilities. The glass construction that makes shopping pleasant makes stealth impossible and defense extremely difficult. You're essentially living in a fishbowl. The acoustic design that once carried pleasant background music now amplifies every sound you make, potentially attracting zombies from significant distances. Structural vulnerabilities exist at loading docks and service areas that are difficult to secure properly. As time passes, accessing supplies becomes increasingly dangerous as zombie populations concentrate around these resource-rich areas. The mall's obvious value will attract other survivor groups, creating the potential for deadly conflicts over territory and resources. Most critically, you become completely dependent on external infrastructure for long-term sustainability. The timeline reality is harsh and unforgiving. You've got maybe 2 to 4 weeks of good survival potential before the disadvantages start outweighing the advantages. The power fails, the water stops flowing, and the abundance of supplies becomes meaningless when you can't safely access them without alerting every zombie in the area. My advice is to use the mall as a temporary fortress while you plan your real survival strategy. Gather supplies systematically, allow your group to rest and recover from the initial chaos, and most importantly, plan your exit before the infrastructure fails and the psychological pressure breaks your group apart. The mall isn't your final destination. It's your launching pad for getting somewhere actually sustainable for the long haul. Stay long enough to benefit from the abundant resources and secure position, but get out before the glass house becomes your tomb. How would you rate mall survival chances? Am I being too harsh on the long-term prospects, or do you think I'm underestimating the zombie threat? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing different perspectives on these scenarios. Your engagement really helps the channel grow, so if this analysis helped you plan your hypothetical zombie survival strategy, smash that like button and subscribe for more survival breakdowns. I've got some seriously challenging locations coming up that'll make a mall look like a luxury resort. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the zombie apocalypse, the best fortress is the one you can leave when you need to.